We trusted a children's hospital with our medically fragile baby. What they did still haunts us. My fiancé and I have twin boys. One of them, Jackson, was born with multiple severe medical conditions. He's only 12 months old and has already been 3 heart surgeries, a tracheostomy, a colostomy, and has a feeding tube that goes directly into his small intestine. He's been fighting to live since the day he was born. We were told that Franciscan Children's Hospital in Brighton, Emma, was the best place for long-term recovery care, and but what happened there has left us shaken. We watched our son go from stable to neglected, and it felt like no one cared. And here's just some of what we experienced. Zay's staff changed his trach and ventilator settings without telling us. On that they didn't document any of it. His safe suction depth is a 1.cm. Emma nurses admitted to going beyond 12.cm. His suction tubing was never changed. When we check it, it was full of mucus and mold. Alarms were going off while he was gurgling and struggling to breathe. No one responded. We had to step in ourselves. 6. He was given extra doses of Ativan with no clear medical reason and became completely lifeless. His feeding tube was placed wrong and clearly caused pain. When he was transferred back to Boston Children's Hospital, their team was shocked. He was dehydrated, had dried blood around his trach and ears. And several records were missing or inconsistent. Trying to get his records from Franciscan was a nightmare. We kept getting vague responses and delays, like they were trying to cover something up. But all of this happened while we were also trying to care for Jackson's twin brother, Jaden, at home in Manchester. And we were running on empty, bouncing between 2 kids who both needed us in different ways, trying not to fall apart. We still are. They got away. We've filed complaints. We've talked to administrators. Nothing has come of it. Ever so now we're speaking publicly and reaching out to anyone who will listen. If you've gone through something like this, or know someone who has, or just believe children deserve better, please speak up. Share this. Point us towards someone who can help. Update: Jackson didn't deserve this. No child does. And Hakana just wanted to post an update since a few people had questions, and I want to clarify some details based on what we experienced. They didn't just make minor tweaks to his ventilator. A staff at Franciscan manually changed his entire trach and vent settings the moment he arrived, without telling us or documenting anything. These were not approved changes. His original settings were created by his pulmonary and IC teams at Boston Children's, who had him stable and on track to come home. The changes made at Franciscan cause instability, made it harder for him to breathe, and set him back significantly. Each failure had a real impact. Suction depth: his safe suction depth is 11.5 cm. Nurses admitted they were going beyond 12.5 cm. That kind of depth can cause airway trauma, damaging tissue, causing bleeding, swelling, and increasing the risk of infection, which he had when he left Franciscan. It made breathing and healing more difficult for him. The 2x suction tubing: the tubing was never changed. When we checked it ourselves, it was full of thick mucus and had visible mold. Photos: this isn't just unsanitary, it was dangerous. Breathing through contaminated tubing increased his risk of infection and made each breath harder. 2. Ignored alarms. He was visibly gurgling and struggling to breathe while alarms were going off. No one responded. We had to step in ourselves. 4. A ventilated child: that's life-threatening. Delays like that can cost lives. 2 extra Ativan doses, but he was given additional doses of Ativan with no clear explanation. This happened after his health began to decline while at Franciscan. He would admit and after the dose, he became completely limp and unresponsive. It was terrifying. There was no documentation, no explanation, and no follow-up. Sedation like that can cause serious respiratory and neurological issues if not monitored properly. At age of feeding tube sump, they told us they don't do sumps. Yet inserted a tube in his other nostril claiming it was one. It wasn't. It wasn't placed using imaging, and they never verified the location. It did nothing helpful, just caused him pain. He kept crying and arching, clearly couldn't tolerate it. We had to demand its removal. They had no idea where it was actually placed. Had a transfer communication failure when they sent him back to Boston Children's. They didn't send over any information. When their BCH staff didn't know when he had last received medications, what doses he was on, or what medications had been restarted. There was no head list. No discharge summary. The team at BCH was completely in the dark and had to scramble to rebuild his care plan from scratch. Even they were shocked by how disorganized and unprepared the transfer was. Medical records delay: when we requested his records, we're told we'd receive them by email in 1 to 2 days. Then they said the file was too large, 32 MB, to send, which is not true. Had to have I work with computers. They refused to let us pick them up in person, said they couldn't put them on a flash drive, and told us send a CD by mail. That took another week. When we finally received it, however, the nearly 2 weeks had passed and a lot of critical info was missing. This wasn't just one error or oversight. It was a series of dangerous decisions, miscommunication, and had a neglect that seriously harmed our son when he was supposed to be coming home. He didn't deserve that. No child does.